in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to Sinisterhood. Hello and welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday, where we tell your odd but true stories. It is Friday, July 26th. Happy belated birthday to my lovely husband. We're trucking through this month.
Oh,
and
dude,
I can't
it's
believe
going
it was
by so fast.
Yeah, it was like already his birthday. I was like, oh, it's here. Oh, no.
I know. My brother's is the 23rd, so happy belated birthday to Zach. Then Paris is the 25th. Happy belated birthday to Paris. And then my mom is the 27th. So happy almost birthday to my mom.
Kathy Wallace, ladies and gentlemen. Give her a round of applause. Those other two gentlemen, they're great. We love them. But podcast wouldn't be here without her. So we're going to thank Kathy Wallace. Literally. Literally, because you would not exist. So thank you. Happy birthday, Kathy. Well, what a great time. And to all of our lovely Leos in our lives, happy birthday.
All of our love. I know. I have so many Leos in my life.
We do.
It's Leos and Capricorns. And actually Scorpios. I've got
That's true.
A multitude of Scorpios, Leos, and Capricorns in my life. That's kind of Tommy's an Aquarius. So
he is. My sister and dad were both Aquariuses. Aquarii.
There you go. Aquarii. Ella's a Sagittarius, so I got a couple Sagittarius friends, but mostly it's, I got like 3 really good Scorpio friends, and all y'all's birthdays are right in, 2 of them are the same day, and then yours is right before.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
We're a hard friend to have, I think. Some people give us a bad rap, Scorpios. I think we're passionate.
So. Yeah, I always see that, but I've never had that experience, so I feel like I don't often get the memes where it's like Scorpios are fucking crazy, because I'm like,
what a nightmare.
Most of the ones that I know are actually like very smart and like hard workers and everything.
I'm trying to bring Scorpio back from the abyss of its very negative reputation. Yeah, we're bringing it back. Well, I some of y'all listening might be like, that astrology's all woo woo. Well, it's not woo woo. The moon being full. And I felt like it's been extra bright the last few nights because it's been full. And we went to the drive-in movie the other night, and it was just the most perfect thing to have, like the beautiful screen with Fort Worth. It was the Coyote Drive-In in Fort Worth, and the big moon shining down. It felt like it was watching the movie with us, honestly.
Oh, did it like it? Was it like,
God,
good thing we don't have tornadoes on the moon.
The moon was like, sucks to be y'all. That happens down there. Yikes. And I was like, yeah, dude, I know. The moon has those judgmental eyebrows that's like, It was judging. It was like Helen Hunt's not in this movie. And I was like, I know. I went to go see Twisters thinking there would be so much Helen Hunt, and there's 0% Helen Hunt. So
you would think double the Helen Hunt, and there's 0 Hunt.
And no Bill Paxton. So why am I even here? Just watching
Who's in it?
Glenn Powell, who I go, well, who's this guy? And why are they trying to make me watch him and everything? And Paris goes, he's like the next hot thing. He was in.
People say he's real hot.
He's fine looking. Yeah. But also, he's fine. Yeah. He's fine. He's an inoffensive leading man. And then Daisy Egan Jones, who is British, and unfortunately, you can kind of tell she's British. She's supposed to be from Oklahoma, but she lets it slip a few times. She's like, quite, really? And I was like, lady, do another take. We heard you.
Do y'all want to get away from the Twister?
Here's the thing. I'm not the right person to play, I don't know, Princess Diana. So maybe.
No, you did a great Princess Diana impression. I just looked up a picture of Glenn Powell, and I'll be going to see Twisters ASAP. So
at the beginning, I go, this guy's in this. And Paris goes, yeah. And I go, you think he'll take his shirt off? And he goes, what? And I was like, I don't know. Just a question.
Well, sorry. Said that out loud. Didn't mean to.
Just thinking out loud at the drive-in. Well, anyway, I bring up the moon, of course, because we are currently on tour for our Full Moon Energy tour, which is a live show that we perform only for you in person and not on the podcast feed that you're listening to now.
No. You got to be there if you want to hear
Feel
all
it.
about the literal dark side of the moon, all of the sinister things that allegedly go on up there. Did we even go to the moon? Some would say maybe we didn't. Others would say, I'll fight you if you tell me I didn't.
Truly. And if we did go to the moon, what the fuck was up there? Because it's not just moon dust. It's not what you thought.
No,
so many
it's
things.
not.
And we are ready to tell you about them. We're going to be in Kansas City on August 6th. We're going to be in Oklahoma City August 7th. After that, we're going to San Diego, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and we're rounding it out in Dallas. And my mom is about 90% done with my jean vest duster.
I can't
that
wait
I
to see.
got to try on the other day. And she
Oh.
goes, the patch for the back, I have an extra patch. And I was like, I think we need to make something for Christy. So
Oh, God.
we'll see. But that
How's
will
it
be
fitting?
debuted.
Is it going well?
She pulled it out. She goes, it is heavy. And I was like, yeah, it's a jean duster. It goes all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a great, I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And it'll be October, so nicer weather. So
Yes.
it's okay if you got a little heavier outfit on.
I won't be drenched in sweat in a jean duster that's weighed all the way down. But it's only for the last show, so make sure you're at the Dallas show. There's glitter on the inside. It's great. She's outdone herself, truly. And the whole deal is the Dallas show is like a hometown show, right? And it will be the last time that we perform Full Moon Energy. So we want to make it very, very special for y'all. And speaking of special, y'all have made it special for us as we've been traveling.
Oh, yes.
Meeting you.
Literally hear almost at every venue we go to, and I don't think they're on like a WhatsApp, so they all talk to each other independently from workers there. They'll be like, I just want to tell y'all, you have the nicest fans. Like,
Yeah.
everyone is so respectful, and we're like, thank you. And they're like, no, you don't get it. Sometimes the crowds are really bad. Like, your fans are like really nice.
I'm
And we're
always like, what have
"What's
people
going on
done to
here?"
you? Yeah, what have people done to y'all? Do we need to come back and fight somebody for you? But thank you. That's just we always say with like the Patreon group and all of our listeners in general, everybody that sends stuff into Freaky Friday, if you're commenting, interacting, and even if you just passively listen, because there's podcasts I listen to and I'm like, I'm out here. You just don't know. I don't interact at all. And so on the flip side of that, I have to go, there's some silent people that just listen and go, I'm never going to comment on your things, but I'm listening. You're part of the community too. And thank you.
You are. Absolutely. I would say that's most people. So thank you so much. And for everyone that does come out to a show, y'all are representation of like what we've built. And so thank you so much for being cool and chill and like everybody being like, I'm glad that this group of people is in this room tonight. So that says a lot about all of you. And we just wanted to say thank you so much for making us look good.
Yeah, truly. That means they'll invite us back. If you show up
Yeah.
and then you also act nice, there's not a brawl or a fire or something like that, then we get invited back. Then we all have a good time. But not only that, y'all go above and beyond. You're like extra awesome and extra nice. And especially when not only do you send in your Freaky Friday stories and tell us that you sent them in, but even live at the show you'll hear today, send them in while you're there waiting for the show to start.
Yeah.
You're
I love
incredible.
this. I think
but
we
it's
have
just
a
that time of year.
first.
Yeah. It's that time of year around our 6-year anniversary, around our anniversary every year, we start getting, nostalgic for you all. So I want to say I love you.
Well, yes, I love you. I love all of our listeners, and I love Fridays,
Yeah.
which really now with the job I have, every day is Friday if you want it to be. So when I was in the, 9-to-5 workplace, I was like, man, I'm so glad it's Friday. For all of you that are, and this is your weekend, congratulations. You've made it another week. Enjoy
Man, that
it.
feeling, cranking your car at 5:05 on a Friday, honestly, because when you make your own hours, you're like a business owner. You kind of work all the time or sometimes when you don't want to. It's not that same structure. So there is that satisfaction to being like, crank the engine and be like, see you later, motherfuckers.
I'm done. I'm
Yes.
done till
Enjoy.
Monday, bitch. Well, I'm Christy,
I'm Heather.
and let's get freaky. This first one is from Courtney, and it is called Grandma Jean Found the Murder Weapon? Courtney writes, before she retired, my Grandma Jean worked as a nurse for Disney Studios. She worked on location for movies and also had an office on the Disney lot in Burbank, California. During her career, she helped countless celebrities with everything from splinters to broken bones and everything in between. About 4 years ago, I asked her if she had any stories from those days that really stood out to her. I had already heard about the time she scolded Paris Hilton for letting her dog walk around off-leash, and knew all about her close friendship with Julie Andrews. Julie called her Jeannie, and even sang happy birthday to her in front of the whole crew of Princess Diaries. I was hoping for a news story. Boy, was I unprepared for the bomb she was about to drop on me. She recalled, "Did I tell you that I found OJ's murder weapon?" Record scratch. I didn't even have time to process her matter-of-fact statement before she continued. "You remember I worked on Clueless in the early 90s, right? 1994 to 95 to be exact. We were filming the scene in Brentwood where Alicia Silverstone was doing her driving test on San Vicente Boulevard. The street was blocked off at both ends, and I was sitting with her stunt double on the curb. It had been raining that week, and there was a bunch of leaves and stuff caught on something in the gutter. I leaned to see what it was, and it was a knife about 5 to 6 inches long. Nicole and Ron had been murdered a few streets away, and OJ's trial was about to start, so we were all very aware of the significance of there being a knife just laying around." She continued, "OJ would have come down that street to get back to his house after the attack. It's possible that he tried to get rid of it by shoving it in the outlet and then kept driving home." She stood up and started to walk away. Like that was the end of the story. "What? So what did you do?" I stammered. She turned back around. "Oh, well, I called the set security guard and he called the police. A police officer came to the set, put the knife in a Ziploc bag, and said he would take care of it. We all know that case was botched and the weapon was, quote, never found. I'll never know if that was the weapon that was used, but it's always stuck with me." Wild. What do you ladies think? Did Grandma Jean uncover the infamous murder weapon? I guess we will never know. For now, it's just another great story she has from her days at Disney. Although I'm not sure it can top my personal favorite story, the time she definitely violated HIPAA by telling us we might just want to drop by the lot at a particular time that home improvement star and 90s heartthrob JTT was scheduled to get his flu shot. You bet your butts, my mom took me and my sister to her office that day and fulfilled our preteen fantasies. Although I was too nervous to make eye contact, I will never forget his sandy blonde hair and dreamy, almost raspy voice. Thanks for reading.
Oh, wow. Grandma Jean has the fucking best job. That is such a good job.
Dude.
You get to just hang out on set. Julie Andrews saying you happy birthday? That's incredible.
You get to help celebrities in their time of need when, like that's how you bond with them. You get to find murder weapons from one of the most infamous crimes that has happened in the past several decades. Like, allegedly maybe found the murder weapon. I don't know.
Truly,
but that's pretty crazy.
It is wild. And when Grandma Jean says Ziploc bag, I'm like, does she mean an evidence bag? And I'm like, I don't know. It's the LAPD in the 90s. It could have probably just been a Ziploc brand bag that he's like, I had my sandwich in this earlier. I'm just going to put this knife in it. Because it was really so very botched. So that is wild, though, to be that close to a crime scene in such a close span of time. Like, it's not 3 years later we were over where this incident happened. It was like a few weeks later, and they clearly hadn't canvassed the whole area because I don't know that they were truly, looking very hard for all that stuff. So that, man, Grandma Jean just dropped a bombshell on you and was like, anyway, back to my cookies. And you're like, no, you gotta come back.
Come here, Granny.
Get back over here.
Yeah.
Get back over here.
It's just, anyways, and then I turned it over to the police and I left. Well, guess I'll go hang out with Julie Andrews. You're like, Grandma Jean, you have the coolest life I've ever heard of.
Yeah, to be on a nickname basis with Julie Andrews, with Mary Poppins herself. Come on now. That's incredible. So I love these stories. Also, JTT was a heartthrob in our family too. And he did maybe like a Walmart or a mall tour or something. And I think Shannon got to go and she got like a photo, like a signed, I don't know if it was signed, but it was like a printed headshot of him if you like went to go to his mall appearance. And I remember being so jealous because I was like, he's so cute.
You didn't get to go?
I don't think so. I don't remember why I didn't get to go. I was probably too little.
Well, You're an adult now, and so is he.
Track him
and
down.
You can contact him at your will if you like. He'd probably love that. You're like, can you send me a headshot, but like from when you were on Home Improvement?
Yes. Do you have an old headshot? And they're like, how old are you? And I'm like, 37. Why? And they're like, you want a what photo? And I'm like, never mind. Delete this email. Never mind.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're on a list.
2024 JTT picture. I feel like he's aged well. That voice, though, his almost raspy voice. He always had that like charisma talent beyond just like your average heartthrob, I thought.
He did. He had an it factor about him for sure. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for sending that in. And a special thanks to Grandma Jean and any other stories Grandma Jean has. We would love to hear about them.
Please. Sinisterhood will be right back. Being an adult has its high points, like you can eat ice cream for dinner anytime or doom scroll until sunrise. But it's not all fun. You also have to do your taxes and figure out what's for dinner every freaking night. The bane of my existence. And you also have to make doctor's appointments, which before ZocDoc, making a doctor's appointment was worse than the appointment itself.
Yes, the stress of having to find it. I would put it off so long because I just felt like it was so many steps that I had to complete to get to the final boss, which is the doctor, that I just wouldn't do it. But ZocDoc has been a absolute game changer. ZocDoc makes adulting so much easier. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors. Choose the right one for your needs and click to instantly book an appointment.
You've used it. I've used it. Paris, Tommy, all of us. It makes it so much easier. And especially when you've been procrastinating because you're like, it's just going to be too hard, or they're probably not going to be available, or I'm going to be on hold forever. Well, with the app, baby.
I literally used ZocDoc yesterday. And then 2 days ago, I recommended it to a friend. So we really do use it a lot in our lives.
We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more.
Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. You can filter specifically for doctors who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat almost any condition you're searching for.
So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/creepy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/creepy. ZocDoc.com/creepy. Well, this next one is from Melissa, and it is called Murder Mountain. Melissa writes, first of all, you ladies are amazing, and your podcast gets me through some long, wild days as an HR manager. I have heard you mention Murder Mountain a few times, including Freaky Friday episode 106, and I knew I finally had to write in. To start, I have an older brother who has always been the more, quote, adventurous one. He's always kept our dads on his toes, while I was always on the straight and narrow, for the most part. My brother had a really great job when he got into a really bad car accident. Don't drink and drive, kids. He's lucky to be alive, but because of the circumstances related to his accident, he lost his security clearance and in turn lost his job. He had a friend who connected him with a pot grow, which he saw as a quick and easy way to make a lot of money. He bought a travel trailer to put on the property so he had a decent place to live. My brother has always protected me, or maybe shielded me, from his lifestyle. He's always been protective of me since our parents divorced and our dad's new wife was just awful to us. Because of this, I only had a general idea of what my brother was up to. One day while having dinner at our dad's house, my brother let his guard down and mentioned in passing that while he was living on this pot farm, a dog came running through the woods with a human foot in its mouth. Turns out my brother had been living on Murder Mountain. He told a number of stories about the locals in the area, hanging people from the bridge. Silly me, I thought maybe this was the gold rush era. But no, this type of stuff has happened recently. He would say that if you were driving through that area, never stop your car for any reason. Make sure you have enough fuel to get all the way through there. In the end, my brother got out of there. I don't know the exact circumstances of him leaving, but I do know that he only got out with what he could pack in his truck. As soon as he left, the locals destroyed his trailer and either stole or sold everything else. He ended up getting one of his other vehicles back after finding it for sale on Craigslist. That's my connection to Murder Mountain, and I think it's safe to say that my documentation is a very mild version of exactly what goes on up there. Thanks for all you do, and keep it creepy.
Well, that's not what you want the dog to run out of the forest with in his mouth. Like, if it was like he ran out and there was a sack of gold coins he had found. That's awesome. A human foot is horrifying.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, did they go back to find the rest of whoever that was? Or was there more to find? Oh, man. Couldn't have been that far, probably, from where you were living, too. I mean, the dog will run far, but it's not like 50 miles. Going way to get something and then bringing it back to you. So that's, we have heard a lot of stories about this, including a dear friend of ours that lived in Humboldt County for a while and said that multiple people told her upon arrival when she was like, where should I go hiking? They're like, don't ever get off the trails. For real. Like, you'll probably get killed because you don't
just
know
don't
what
go wander into a field.
No.
Or like past you're like, is this a gate or not? I don't know. I'll just step over it. It's like, nope, don't do that. Or you never know. The dog is running with your foot in its mouth because it is, like Melissa said, this assessment of what's going on up there is perhaps a milder version of what there's an entire docuseries about it. So it's pretty severe. And, you think, I have a great job with security clearance, and it's wild how you're just one decision away from something that does impact you that badly, where you end up like literally in danger, like living in a trailer that's eventually, destroyed, burned out, whatever by these folks.
Anytime there's an accident involving drinking, I have no judgment because we've all been there. And like anytime somebody gets a DUI or DWI, and I don't drink anymore, but I mean, back in the day in college, there were tons of times I shouldn't have been driving, and I just
where you think like, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. I'm just a little buzzed. And especially not after you don't drink for a while, you kind of go, I really can't tell I'm not a good judge and assessment of like, what am I good to drive or am I not?
Right. Yeah. And it hits everybody differently. So I'm glad that he was okay. I mean, that's the most important part. And that he also got off that mountain because it sounds like things were going south pretty quickly. Even on the documentary, one of the guys in the documentary has to leave his place for a while. And when he comes back, the locals had descended upon it and stripped it of everything. And he said it's probably like rival pot growers and everything, and they stole all of his equipment and stuff. So it's not for the faint of heart to reside up there.
No, and I always wonder areas like that, or like that documentary we just watched called Oceana about Oceana, West Virginia, which was a heart-wrenching documentary. It was a fantastic documentary, but heart-wrenching. Like, what do you do as a society of when you do have these microcosm, like tiny communities that are literally lawless, like this, both Oceana and the certain parts of Humboldt County of like, it sort of kind of runs itself. Like it has its own way of working things out. And there's its own subculture that you can't even penetrate. Like as, whether you're law enforcement, social services, whatever, like how do you even get people out of that? I don't know.
Yeah. When the problem that you're trying to help is far greater than the amount of people you have to help, it gets out of control and seems like a lost cause, not just for law enforcement. The people living there, that Oceana, I mean, everyone there was like, this is just how it is. And there's nothing that can be done because it's everywhere you turn is this drug and everybody's on it.
And it's easy to get, or not even easy to get, but there's no law enforcement to stop you from robbing to then get the stuff, and man, you'll kill for it because that's what addiction does. But it is those kind of areas. I'm glad your brother got out of there because those are the areas that you go, well, my trailer was destroyed. It's like, well, who are you going to call? The police, exactly. Or It's just better.
My
to
trailer on
try to
my
stay
illegal
safe.
pot farm was
Yeah.
destroyed. Like, I mean, they're going to
Exactly.
be like, okay, well, what do you want us to do about
Where
it?
is this? And then suddenly you're a snitch. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for writing that in.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
This next one is from Lindsay, and it is called, I Can't Get Rid of Treadmill Man. Hi, ladies. I love you both so much. I'm an OG listener and want to thank you so much for all that you do, including getting me through some seriously tough times. I've been thinking about submitting this since you began doing Freaky Fridays, but for some reason, I didn't think it was truly as frightening as it is. It happened a long time ago, but now I realize that there will be some validation and perhaps some relief in telling this story because it's not one I tell often, if ever. It was the summer of 2010, and I had opted to live in my college town now that I had a truly beautiful apartment in lieu of coming home for the summer. I had 2 jobs. In the morning, I would lifeguard, and in the evening, I was a server at a restaurant in the college town. That summer, I was living with my then boyfriend, and I pretty much had my routine down to a science. In the mornings, I would get up at around 5 and lifeguard from 6 to noon. Then I would go to the beautiful, brand new, gigantic gym that they had just finished building on campus. It was huge, gorgeous, and packed with every machine and piece of workout equipment you could think of. I was in heaven. I went to a huge university, and I absolutely loved it there. I would work out for about 2 hours, starting out on the treadmill first, where I would run 3 miles, all while gazing out onto the beautifully manicured campus soccer fields and the mountains beyond. Then I would hop on the elliptical and do a program. Back then, we still used those, LOL. Use the rowing machine and weights, and finally walk on the treadmill to cool down and stretch. Then I would occasionally hit the pool at my sister apartment complex and go home to chill out and get ready to serve at night. I did this every single Monday through Friday without fail. My boyfriend worked on campus in the library 9 to 5 every day, so we would rarely run into one another unless I visited him after the gym. One day, at the very end of my workout, I was on the treadmill cooling down, and a super disheveled, long-haired, fully clothed, extremely heavy-set man, we're talking heavy work jeans, a sloppy, stained button-down, Timberland work boots, and trucker hat, got on the treadmill next to me. This is important because it was the middle of the summer on a college campus of 35,000 students, almost none of whom stuck around for the summer, and the gym was almost always empty during the time I would be there. He started to run on the treadmill in the weirdest way, with his hair down, hat on, turning the speed up high and holding on to the sides while he ran awkwardly in his fucked up Timbs. I noticed that he kept glancing over at me, and I was immediately spooked. So I got off the treadmill and went to the furthest part of the available stretching area, where he could no longer see me. About 10 minutes later, I was ready to leave, and unfortunately, I had to walk to the treadmills again to grab my shit from my locker. And there he was, still running awkwardly on the treadmill in what some might consider bizarro construction gear. I could see him watching me, again, and grabbed my shit from my locker and booked it to my car. As I left, I did not check to see if he was slowing down. I chalked it up to him just being some weird guy and followed my normal schedule. I arrived at the pool at my apartment's sister complex, put my stuff down, and dove in right away because it was super hot. I spent about 5 minutes in the pool and then sat on a lounge chair and opened up Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. Not a minute later, I looked up and there's Treadmill Man entering the pool gates. This was 2010 in rural Massachusetts, so you didn't need to show ID or scan any sort of ID to get into this type of pool. Plus, it was part of a private apartment complex. Immediately, my heart was in my throat as I watched this dude beeline toward me and put his stuff on the chair right beside mine. This was not a small pool, and there were a few people scattered around it, but no one was paying much attention to what was going on. Not to mention, the lounge chair next to mine was broken, and that a bunch of the plastic bands had snapped or were stretched and sagging, but he chose it anyway. I watched in abject horror as he took off his Timbs and socks and then jumped into the pool fully fucking clothed. I took this as an immediate cue to get the fuck out of there. Why would this same man be running on a treadmill fully clothed next to me in the dead heat of July, and now jumping into a pool fully clothed, sitting on a broken lounge chair directly next to me when there was an entire deck filled with chairs to be chosen from? Absolutely not. I was shaking and started getting dressed and fumbling with my things, putting my stuff into my bag, and simultaneously trying to call my boyfriend. Unfortunately, this gave him enough time to notice what I was doing, and since I was walking with my head down toward the gate, dialing my boyfriend's number over and over again, straight to voicemail, this particular boyfriend was still using a flip phone in 2010, the man opened the gate for me, sopping wet, as in he was on his way out too. I got in my car and locked the doors. Sweat dripped down my face and pooled in my lap, along with tears. My heart was in my throat and my stomach was in my asshole. My first thought was, see if he pulls out first. Because in my head, I had convinced myself that I was overreacting and that he had perhaps decided to go to the gym and the pool in jeans and a button-down and work boots on a 90-degree day and just happened to be in the same places as me. Does he go to school with me? He didn't look the typical age. No, he was definitely older than the average student. Maybe he lived in the complex. Millions of thoughts were flying through my mind as I dialed my boyfriend's line over and over again. This was before we all had iPhones, so I did not know the number to the library by heart. It suddenly occurred to me that I was very small and he was very big. I mean, this dude was huge, and that any more time I spent sitting in my car gave him more time to memorize my car and my plates, which he had obviously already done. Plan out more weird or bad things to do, whatever, I didn't know. And sure as shit, as soon as I backed out of my parking space, a rickety-looking teal-colored car pulled out and got in line behind me to exit the parking lot onto the main stretch of road. I knew this area fairly well, as my boyfriend and I liked to cycle around back roads, and my college was part of a 5-college consortium, so there was a small chance I could lose him if I was quick enough. I used no signals and pulled out onto the road at a time where another car would be put between us. I started doing around 80 miles per hour, swerving around back roads on my way to campus, just trying to get to the library, still dialing my boyfriend's number. I called my mom. She didn't pick up either. I was losing my mind. What's insane to me now is that at no point during that time did I find it valid enough for me to call 911. I thought that if I could just make it to campus, I could possibly go to the police there once I had secured my boyfriend, was no longer alone, and felt safe. I've forgotten to mention here that it was not typical to stay the summer break, and that all of my friends had gone home for the summer, so I had no one else to call. I either managed to lose him or he noticed that I was driving directly into the busiest part of campus, exiting the car and starting to make a scene of myself until my boyfriend came running. By that time, I had finally gotten my boyfriend on the phone. He, of course, minimized the situation, typical, and he had agreed to meet me at the specific spot on campus. Together, we called and made a report to the campus police, and they urged me to call them if I ever found myself in the man's company again. I was so shaken up, I sat in the lobby of the library for hours, staring into space until my boyfriend got off of work. I called out of my shift for that night and stayed away from the gym for the next 2 weeks. I eventually returned to the gym, but I never returned to the pool, and I told both my boyfriend and my mom to always have their phones on them and on ring from the hours of noon to 2 p.m. I threw Siddhartha away without finishing it. It was wrinkled from being shoved into my bag with my wet towel, and I couldn't even bring myself to look at it. I'm 33, and I've never been harassed, stalked, or felt that threatened by someone, and I live in New York. So that's the tale of the Treadmill Man. I call him this for obvious reasons, but also because when my boyfriend finally answered the phone, I screamed, "I think there's someone following me. I can't get rid of this Treadmill Man." Thank you so much for reading. Even if this doesn't make it onto the pod, just knowing that you read these stories is so cathartic. I listen every week, and hearing stories from women who have been in situations far more dangerous than mine make me feel not so alone. Stay safe, stay creepy, and if somebody gets on a treadmill near you wearing Timbs, exit the gym immediately and take the wrong way home.
Oh, Lindsay.
Yikes on bikes.
I am so sorry that you have been, first of all, instantaneously minimized by your boyfriend telling you, and then you minimized it yourself, like, throughout these years, because I'm so pissed off for you. Like, I'm so mad that you can't enjoy your gym. Jumping into the pool after a hot day of working out is so fucking rewarding. And that this slob and his fucking dirty ass button down ruined it for you with his creepiness. And when you said, I like marked it as I was listening, but when you were like, I'm sitting in my car after the pool. So we've established he already creeped up on you on the gym and then followed you to a completely second faraway location. It's not like I walked out of the treadmill area at the gym and into the pool area at the gym. No, he followed you in an automobile to a wholly separate, unrelated location. And the definition of being a woman is like sitting in your car going, am I the crazy one?
Yeah.
Despite the very crazy behavior from this other person. And I hope that we're feeling a turning amongst all of us to go, no. I will call the police right now. But 2010 back then, and even, 6 months ago or 5 years ago, but for damn sure 14 years ago, we had that. I was in college at the same time and I would have done the same thing as you. I'm crazy. I don't know. I should just let me just get out of the way. I'll just call my boyfriend. It'll be okay. But that is like textbook definition of a woman of like being objectively endangered and going, well, maybe I'm making a big deal out of it.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, we're getting into a place where we're grabbing each other by the shoulders going, no, you are not making a big deal out of it. It is a big deal. And fuck your boyfriend for A, not answering his phone. I get it. You're in a library. Bitch, it still has vibrate. But also B, like when you immediately run at him, if he minimized it to you, like what the fuck? No.
That would piss me off big time. I was out of college at 2010, but I still would have reacted the same way, just given that time. The whole scenario would have freaked me out so much because immediately you're like, this guy isn't here for the gym. I mean, come on. Like, it didn't take a rocket scientist to be like, but I would also ask, how was he allowed to get in a college campus gym if he was not supposed to be there? And maybe it was 2010 and things weren't as secure as they are now. I have not been a college gym since 1998, but do you have a thing you swipe? How did he get in there?
That's what I was thinking at SMU, because when she was just describing like a big giant gym with like a bunch of stuff, my undergrad gym was very big too, but obviously law school gym, SMU is just like a private, fancier school. And we had like turnstiles and you had to scan your ID before the turnstile would open to even like let you in. But it could be that, side door, back door, maintenance employee has a key, was doing construction on campus and knew that a door was open or whatever, and has been, you just wonder like, how long were you watching me? And was it me, or was it just because I happened to be the person that was there that day? But the following is, that's blatant following, but imagine like how many times this has come up in your life, Lindsay, that you've been like, that treadmill thing, that was crazy. What a weird thing. But it's like when you really sit down and write it out, you're like, this is definitely a dangerous situation I was in. And of course we do that to, I think, protect ourselves and protect our hearts and stuff. But there is power, I think, in what you've done here, which is sharing it and taking back the narrative and going, no, this happened to me. It was real and it was fucking scary and it was inappropriate. And I hope that man's untied Tim's tripped him and he fell somewhere, because no one ever is allowed to make women or anybody feel unsafe. And following somebody like that and, jumping in a pool and then jumping out sopping wet to like
unhinged,
run at the gate, like hell motherfucking no. And I'm sorry you were by yourself and at the time, but I think it's like I said, my whole thing is I think we're moving towards a place where we all are looking out for each other. Where back in 2010, if you saw a weird person at the gym making a woman feel uncomfortable, you might go, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know. I'm the bitch now that's going to go, do you need some help? Or go up and go, hey, Sandra, is that you? And whatever, something to do I gotta be, or what's
or
right
stay
to
around so they know they're not alone.
I'm fucking
just
watching
be like,
you.
You gonna take both of us down? There's safety in numbers, and also just that feeling of security in numbers too. Like, there are people at the pool, maybe they weren't right around you, but you're telling me that no one at this pool saw a fully clothed man jump into it and then run to the gate? Like, somebody at some point perhaps could have stepped in. I don't know. At the very least, when you get your boyfriend on the phone, be just as concerned. Like, validate those feelings. To minimize it is why we all sit in our car and think, well, I shouldn't. I'm covered in my own sweat and tears and pool water, but surely everything's fine. I'm the one that's overreacting.
Yeah. Like, oh, I shouldn't call 911. I'm the crazy one. And I just hate that it takes stuff away from us. Like, when we are made to feel unsafe, we don't go back to the gym. We don't go back to swimming. We threw our book away. Like, we do these things because we feel safer not doing. And I feel like we have a right to do whatever we want to do and live in a safe place. So I think it's incumbent upon all of us, those of us who, like Lindsay, have gone through things like this and have been made to feel unsafe, and then lucky if you have not. But that means that you're still playing a part in this society that we're all living in that we have a role to be each other's keepers, I think, and watch each other's backs. And even if it's not like, I threw a kettlebell at a man at the gym today because he was talking to a man. Don't do that. But, like I said, any of that right2be.org we talk about in the Kitty Genevieve's episode, where they have kind of training on what you can do just to be a better community member, to
absolutely
film stuff or intervene or, go and get help or whatever. So I'm sorry there was nobody like that for you there, Lindsay, but I hope there's power in telling your story. And I hope everybody that listens feels empowered that if they see a treadmill man, that together we can defeat him.
Yes, we will. And also, I am very proud of you for writing this out and acknowledging now that this was a really big deal. I'm going through EMDR therapy right now, and so many things come up when you're going through your timeline of life and like trauma and stuff that you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that in a while, but damn, that really did affect me. And then like the more you talk about it and talk about it with a third party, you're like, oh, this was actually pretty traumatic. And clearly like you thought about it and you don't talk about it. Rarely, if ever, you said, because of the feelings you have. So again, trauma is anything that overwhelms our ability to cope. Yeah. So regardless of how small you might think it is, if it has a meaningful impact on you, especially in a negative way, like, it's okay to feel that way. You are validated in your feelings despite what anyone else might say. And if it's something that affected you traumatically, then it is real, and it's something that you can work through. And the first thing is like acknowledging it. So good on you.
Name it, know it, and then you can deal with it, how you're going to deal with it.
Name it, know it, blow it.
Name it, know it, blow it, baby. That's the Sinisterhood way. We wouldn't let y'all off with all this lovely talk. I said, y'all know we were going to let y'all go with all this lovely, we truly mean every word of it, but we're also clowns. So
true. Yes. Yeah. I'm wearing an actual red nose right now, and Heather has a wig on. So
I just wear this all the time.
We just dress as clowns.
I'm fully nude in a clown wig. Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing that, because I guarantee you so many people have a similar story, and this is going to make them feel like, you know what? I'm not crazy for feeling as scared as I was back then. It's a scary thing. Imagine I'm 45. If this happened now, I'd be scared. In college, I would have been beside myself.
Completely frozen. And I will say, I think, again, we talk about the power, the good thing that social media does and our connection and our empowerment of each other, that all the current college age Lindsays out there who might have something like this happen to them, I hope it does not, but we live in a world of people that are willing to do shit like this. So to have that knowledge of no, when something like this happens, I'm going to call 911. I can't, or I'm going to call campus police, or I'm going to go to the person at the gym, and I'm not invalid for doing that. So thank you for acknowledging what happened and being willing to share, because there's power in all that.
Empowering others. Yeah, for sure.
Give that power. Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this next one is from Sydney, and the subject line is "The Time I Felt the Wrath of Jared Leto." Hello, besties. First and foremost, thank you both for all that you do. I look forward to Wednesdays and Fridays, knowing I have a new episode to get me through my morning. Listening to episode 298 about Jared Leto, you guys mentioned "do not sit" when talking about the Full Moon Energy Tour. But referencing Jared Leto, I had to pause and scream at this part and say, it's not just me. When I was 16, I was on the street team for a band opening for 30 Seconds to Mars. so I had early access to the venue to hang up promotional posters. With having early access, I was able to secure my spot up front at the barrier. I thought, this is great. I can use the barrier to support myself as I have a broken toe. I had the best time watching the opening band I was there for, and I figured, let's stay and watch 30 Seconds to Mars, having no idea how big of a mistake this was. I wasn't hugely into them and didn't know most of their music, so I was just chilling and listening to them play when my mom whispered in my ear, "He looks like he wants to murder you." Then the show stopped. Jared pointed and stared straight into my soul and started screaming at me for not dancing and not being active enough for his liking. I was mortified, and I limped out of that venue so fast with a newfound hatred of Jared Leto. I've been searching YouTube for years trying to find a video from this show of Jared Leto yelling at poor little 16-year-old me, but I've not had any luck. It's my favorite story to tell people. I now think it's hilarious. Like, what kind of asshole does that to a child? Thank you for being the best friends I've never met. I love you guys and the wide range of subjects you cover on the podcast. Much love, Sydney. Yeah, if you search Jared Leto yelling.
Nightmare would be this, being called out in front of a crowd for something you have no control over.
The show stops, like, stop it. The music, he's like, stop. Everyone stop playing. You there in the front, you there. And the, I'm sorry, injured, temporarily disabled teen girl is like, me, sir, with a broken toe, sir? And he's like, get up, you bitch. It's like, I'm a child, and my toe was, I don't care what happened to you.
I'm not even here for you. I was here for the first band.
Yeah, I don't even like your ass. Like, what?
You're lucky I stuck around. I wasn't even going to, but then I was like, oh, I'm already here. I may as well.
Maybe
Never again.
Maybe I'll enjoy the show. And it's like, no, you will not. You will be berated for the show. But my thing is, if you're searching up, trying to find this video, Sydney, it's a lot to wade through, because apparently he yells at a lot of people to stand up, and it's not just you.
Right?
That is awful, though. Stop doing that, Jared Leto. If you're listening, I know you love the show, first of all.
Not anymore.
He's like,
oh, man.
It used to be my favorite.
We got a lot of Jared Leto Freaky Friday submissions. And
Speaking of which.
I've included this one and the one you're about to hear. But there's more. I had to cut it off at some point. Perhaps we'll revisit it. But just know a lot of people have had negative interactions with Jared Leto.
It turns out it's not just you, Sydney. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And if anybody has a video of Jared Leto yelling at a girl with a broken foot who had to limp away from the venue due to being berated by him, send it in so we can share it with Sydney.
God, and her mom even noticing.
Yeah. The mom being like, Jared Leto looks like he wants to hit you. It's like, yeah, he might. He's unhinged.
Also, like, it's so wild to me when performers call stuff like that out, because one, it's disruptive to your whole show and the flow of things. And like, then everybody is like, record scratch, like, I was just vibing, and now, like, we're yelling at this kid? But also, you're paying so much attention to one kid that isn't jumping up and down, that's all you can focus on, not the other thousands of people, hundreds, I don't know, screaming your name.
I think, Sydney, that says a lot more about Jared Leto than it does about you or your toe.
Yes.
Because, yeah, man, like you said, there's a whole crowd of people. Somebody 50 people back cannot see one girl in the front not jumping. So maybe be good at your job and just shut the fuck up and sing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why did you stop the show and start to yell at someone again? Yeah. And my opinion is, if you were that good, she would have jumped regardless of a broken toe. But you're not performing to that potential. If you were performing better, she would have. I'm just saying, don't blame the audience. Don't blame the audience.
Also, doesn't sound like the opening act did anything that was aggressive and mean and bullying. And in fact, she said she had a great time going. Yeah.
So it sounds like you can enjoy their music even with a broken toe. Well, thank you very much, Sydney. And as you said, Christy, here's yet another one. It's from M. And the subject line is 30 seconds in a cult. Rewind to 2 or 3 weeks ago. My husband and I sat down on the couch for a little break on our Sunday fun day cleaning day. We'd both had a couple of drinks and were scrolling Instagram. I, of course, was targeted by an ad for a local concert venue promoting that 30 Seconds to Mars tickets were buy one, get one free. With no discussion, my husband and I looked at each other and solemnly agreed that it was irresponsible not to get the tickets. I knew of 30 Seconds to Mars, but I wouldn't consider myself a super fan. We just like live music, and the venue is a mile from our house. I also barely associated Jared Leto with the band or paid any attention to any of his antics outside of watching his movies. Then, last week, I was ecstatic to hear your episode on 90s heartthrobs or cult leaders. I screamed with joy across the house when you mentioned the second episode was on Jared Leto and yelled to my husband, "Babe, we have to listen to this. We're seeing him next week." I was so excited to go to the concert as an unbiased music lover and report back. In a dramatic turn of events, my husband wasn't able to attend the show, so a girlfriend came with me, having a comparable background about the band, but equal obsession for live music and people watching. I did look up the set list on Spotify in advance to familiarize myself with a few more songs, and their big song, The Kill, was supposed to be in the middle of the set. So I told my friend I'd be happy to leave after that if we were tired. This was on a Wednesday after all. This note is important. I'll come back to it later. I mildly expected the venue to be empty, considering tickets for a few weeks were buy one, get one free, and were being sold for 25% off up to the day of the concert. I wouldn't say the show was sold out, but it definitely was not empty. Everything was normal until the lights went down and the opening teaser was a robot voice counting down slowly from 100. It felt like we were standing there in the dark for an hour as the Alexa voice spoke. 100, 99, 98. I looked at my friend and said, there is no way this goes all the way down to 1. But it did. First, culty sign. As the stage finally lit up, I was able to see the VIP section on the side of the stage, and y'all, it looked like it was actually sold out. Fans were standing shoulder to shoulder and a few people deep on the side of the stage. Once the band finally started playing, the concert was pretty good at first, and then things continued to get weird. After the second or third song, the audience members started making an odd Illuminati hand sign with their hands. Towards the end of the song, Leto also gave the sign back to the crowd. The stage design was also a big triangle like the Illuminati. There was a song or two after that when Leto started inviting crowd members on stage with them. It wasn't just one song, but what felt like every song thereafter, he was hugging a new person on stage. About 1 hour in, the entire band walked off stage like the show was over. This was longer than a traditional encore. Maybe it was their version of an intermission? We really felt like we were supposed to leave. I don't know. After about 5 minutes, they came back and they played one song before finally playing The Kill. Once that was wrapped up, my friend and I both looked at each other and were like, let's get out of here. They were still playing music when we left, so the show could have continued for another hour like the set list said. If that's true, that's definitely when church started and the real culty stuff began. Walking to the car, my friend and I could not stop saying, that was weird, right? Yeah, it was really weird. We also agreed that if we didn't know anything about the cult accusations, we think we would have been able to identify those undertones on our own. They were not subtle. Overall, it was a fun concert. Leto was eclectically dressed in a mesh tank with a cape and pink fishnet gloves, like a true artist. If I didn't work the next day, I would have liked to have stayed longer and seen the rest of the show. I've attached supporting photo evidence of some of the items mentioned in this story. Quality isn't great, but good enough to get an idea. Thank you for all the stories you share and the platform you provide. Stay safe and keep it creepy. I love this.
I mute myself during these stories, but I was laughing very hard. It just, the whole thought of this. I laughed hard when I read it the first time, and I laughed again thinking about just, first of all, 25% off and 2 for 1 usually means your ticket sales aren't going great.
You know, but if the deals must have worked if the little side area was sold out and people are jumping up and down over there. I think that's what he demands, enthusiastic reception or nothing. So in that case,
stressful
to me. Yeah, it's like, well, anyhow. Well, I do appreciate that M was like, I'm going to go as an unbiased concert goer and just like see what it's like.
Well, I looked up these hand signals, which it's like if you made a triangle with your pointer fingers and 2 thumbs, and then across the middle, kind of diagonally, you put up your middle finger, I think is what it is. So I guess it's the band sign. It
maybe
says
it's like 3 and 3.
The symbols are supposed to mean, I don't even understand what this means, honestly. There's like so many different symbols that they have. Yeah, it kind of looks like an A, but a triangle that you make with your hands. And then they have some where you put your 2 pointer fingers together. There's just a lot of signs, and a lot of people have tattoos of it as well. So I guess you,
there you go.
Throw that up at the concert, kind of like the heart for which has become
the Van
Taylor
Buren
Swift.
Boys.
That's a heart.
Yeah, it's
What
a
is
heart.
that one?
The Van Buren Boys. It's 8. He's the 8th president. Well, throw up your signs, y'all, at the 30 Seconds to Mars concert. Well, thank you, Em, for going and doing field research for us. We really appreciate it.
Boots on the ground.
Yes, boots on the ground. Now we don't have to go to the one at Dos Equis because I feel like we've already been. So thank you, Em. We were going to go, right? Yeah, sure. We were going to go. Now, thanks, Em. Now we got something else to do that day. So thank you for doing this for us.
We're good. Thank you so much.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this last one is from Kristen, and the subject line is, "Who's there?" Greetings from beside the stage before the Cleveland show begins. As I sit and wait for the Full Moon Energy show to start, I figured what better way to pass the time than to write in a Freaky Friday. I came on my own, so I'm just sipping my drink across from McGruff at the moment. Let's get freaky. It was 1996, and I was laying in my blanket fort on the floor when the phone rang. I paused my movie and ran to the kitchen to pick up the landline. "Hello?" my little 10-year-old voice answered. Crackling and breathing came from the other end. "Hello?" I said, once again, louder. I heard a click as the caller on the other end hung up. "That was weird," I said out loud as I hung up the phone and made my way back downstairs to play my movie. A few minutes later, the phone rang and I rolled my eyes as I paused my movie again and jumped up to answer the phone. "Hello?" I answered again, my 10-year-old voice not holding back my annoyance. "Did you check the bedrooms?" A heavy breath and the phone clicked again as the caller hung up. My little heart racing, I picked up the phone and immediately dialed the number for my dad's pager. I put our home phone number in, followed by 911. Staring at the phone, I waited for my dad to call back. The house was silent, aside from my dog's nails clicking on the tile floors. I jumped as the loud ring caught me off guard and picked up the phone. "Did you just call here?" I blurted out. "No, your mom and I are having dinner," my dad replied. I know, but do you promise? You promise that you didn't just call here because I'm scared," I said. "I didn't call," my dad said. "I'm going to go finish dinner with your mom. There isn't anything to be scared of," he assured me before we hung up the phone. Skeptical, I tried to calm myself down. Before I could get back downstairs, the phone rang again. I stopped in my tracks, turned around, and stared at the landline hanging on the kitchen wall. Ring, ring. I approached the phone slowly, picked it up, immediately heard the scratchy breathing before I blurted out, "Dad, is that you?" The phone clicked, hanging up once again. I ran into the living room and pulled back the curtains at the front of the house. I saw red and blue lights flashing in the darkness, bouncing off the houses of all of my neighbors. I craned my neck and saw that a couple doors down, there was an ambulance in the driveway, and there were police cars lining the streets with a fire truck in the middle of the road. I grew up in a very quiet, quaint little subdivision where things like this did not happen. Panicked, I realized that whatever happened a few doors down was about to happen to me. I decided that I needed to grab the things I could carry that meant the most to me, and I needed to get out of there. Running back to the kitchen, I picked up the phone, frantically dialing the numbers for my dad's pager once more. I ran upstairs and grabbed my favorite book, a photo album, and as I ran back to the front door, I called my dog and attached his leash. I was 10. These were the things that I held most dearly to my heart. I grabbed nothing that would help me, like food, extra clothes, or a coat. Just my favorite pictures, book, and my dog made the most sense. The phone rang again, and I answered it, out of breath, to hear my dad on the other end. "Dad, something is happening. I keep getting scary phone calls and there are ambulances and police cars outside. I don't know what happened, but my dad cut me off. What do you mean there are ambulances and police cars? He said. I don't know. I looked out the window and I saw the red and blue flashing lights. They're down at the neighbor's house. I'm scared. I have the dog on the leash. I'm going to leave so they can't get me. No, don't do that, my dad urged on the other end of the line, and I could hear him laugh under his breath. This isn't funny, I yelled, my heart beating faster. I'm sorry, my dad began. That was me. What? I said. I don't understand. That was me. I called you, he said. Fuming, my little body began to shake with anger. You said that it wasn't you, I managed to get out. My dad apologized several more times, still laughing, and promised that he and my mom would be home soon, but not to leave the house, and everything would be okay. I kept my dog on the leash and sat on the couch, angrily finishing my movie as I waited for my parents to get home. It made more sense than sitting in silence, scared. My mom burst through the front door. Your dad is in so much trouble. Are you okay? Were you scared? She ran up and hugged me, and I burst into tears, finally allowing the adrenaline to hit me. My dad was in the doghouse for a while on that one. Turns out our poor neighbor had tripped and fallen down the stairs, breaking her ankle just before my dad had decided to call and prank me. A childhood full of pranks from my dad, and the universe had fallen in line to make his harmless prank truly terrifying. It takes quite a lot to catch me off guard after a childhood of prank phone calls and jump scares. At least as an adult, I'm always ready for any situation. Hope you both have a great day, and until next time, keep it creepy, Kristen.
Oh, Kristen, I don't think this happened to me, but it could have. I feel like this is some shit my dad would have done. In fact, last night I was like, did something like that happen to me? And there's a good chance that like some kind of scary prank call was made from my father. I mean, I could see him doing something like this. 1996 was a different time.
Yes.
I don't know that this would happen as much now. I still think it would, but it was probably more accepted back then. But yeah, I would have been shitting my pants as a 10-year-old, getting a phone call to go check the fucking bedrooms. And then you're like, the murderer's on the loose. They must be on my street right now.
Exactly. They already got Mrs. Jones up the street. The ambulance is in her fucking front yard, and the cops are out there, and they don't have anybody in handcuffs. So that means the killer is still free. Mm-hmm. That's what I would have thought for sure. And I less on the prank phone calls, but I definitely relate on the jump scares. My sister was always around a corner, just ready to like jump scare me at any point. So yes, I'm also feel like I have like reflexes, like I'm ready to fight
I feel
back.
like I have such a like heightened sense of startled. I get startled so easily that I don't feel like I'm ready for anything. I might be, but I also like startle very easily at anything because of this, which I've been told in therapy is a trauma response. Indeed. So there you have it.
But yeah, I think, Kristen, this, being in the doghouse for something like this, your mom was right, because you can't call the child, have her distraught like that and go, Dad, do you swear it's not you? Like, you promise it's not you, and be like, nope. Like,
that's the part.
It wasn't.
No, yeah. And that's the part where I hope that my dad would have been like, you're right. Because Tommy and I tell both kids, like, we will never lie to you. Mm-hmm. And if they earnestly were scared and asked us this, I couldn't keep up the ruse.
Yes. I'm like, I can't pretend anymore. You're very much upset. So, but that is, thank you very much. I'm glad that you took the time while you were hanging out having a drink with McGruff to write us the story. Yeah, he's just sitting there waiting for you.
Just like your dog back then was one of the most important things to you, which is such a sweet thing. You're like, my photo album, not even a book, like your photo album.
Yes.
And your dog, because that's what mattered. And honestly, even today, that's probably similar to the stuff I would grab still.
Right. You had your heart in the right place even back then. But little 10-year-old in your blanket fort thinking you're having like a fun movie night by yourself, and all of a sudden it turns into a horror movie, but with a comedy ending at least. But what perfect timing for your dad to go, oh my God, I am so sorry. And it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't fucking prank call people because you don't know who broke their ankle up the street.
True. Maybe he learned a lesson that day.
Hope so. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, for sending that in. And thank you to everybody for sending in your Freaky Friday stories. If you have an odd but true story, maybe you've encountered Bigfoot, you've seen a UFO, you had a brush with true crime, or you felt the presence of an otherworldly being, send them in at sinisterhood.com/Freaky Friday. If you like our free episodes, you'll love our Patreon bonus content. You can join for free to see what we're up to next. We also release an archived bonus content once a month just for signing up for free. Or you can join and dive into over 900 hours of various bonus content and segments.
Yeah, you get ad-free episodes, monthly live stream Q&As. Our live stream for July is going to be July 31st at 8 p.m. Central. Also, you can join our quarterly bonus content live streams where we do our weekly audio bonus content, but we do it special live on Crowdcast so you can join in. So our quarterly live bonus content is going to be August 1st at 8 p.m. Central, and the voting is open now. You can vote on hypothetical situations, am I the asshole, or unpopular opinions. And so we were picking ones where we wanted to get y'all's interaction on them too, so we could all answer ourselves. So go make sure you vote and then join us on August 1st at 8 p.m. Central. And they're both on our Crowdcast page where you can register.
We love putting polls in Crowdcast
Yes.
for the chat.
We've learned.
So anything where it's like, what is everybody thinking? We love interacting with the chat as much as possible. In addition to all of that, you also get monthly minisodes, merch discounts, and like we said up top, a community of the best listeners on the whole internet, and they translate to live shows too.
Yeah, and live streams. We get hashtag chat crew checking in.
Yes.
What's up, chat crew? Try out a free trial where you can join for a week, check out all the perks, and cancel anytime before the trial is over without getting charged. That would include being a part of both of the live streams. If you wanted to jump on both the live Q&A as well as the quarterly bonus content live stream, you can do that for free. And if you cancel afterwards, as long as it's within the week, you wouldn't even get charged. Or if you're like, this is great, I want to stick around, sign up for an annual membership. And you also get a free month when you sign up for an annual membership.
Absolutely.
Head over to Sinisterhood.com, click shop on the top banner to check out merch like t-shirts, mugs, totes, stickers, and even clothes for your kiddos. And don't forget to utilize your Patreon discount code on all merch, including our merch clearance sale. So go ahead and shop that clearance before it's sold out.
While you're on our website, you can also review the show. We make it really easy to leave us a review. You can follow us on socials and check out the episode description. You'll also find fun things like topic-based playlists and links to all those tickets for the Full Moon Energy Tour.
Yeah. You can follow us on Instagram and Threads at Sinisterhood Pod. Like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood. You can watch full video versions of our episodes ad-free on Patreon or for free on YouTube. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, be sure to switch on notifications so you know when we go live for our porch live stream sessions and whenever we post a new video. And be sure to subscribe to our TikTok channel so you can follow our TikTok videos and see what
got a lot of good ones.
Edit, like bug-attack.mp4, the short film I edited for the show, was released on our TikTok.
Oh man, I've watched that and I lived it, and I've watched it so many times. It's so good.
So
that
and
the Jared Leto story is doing real well right now, and I just want to make a public announcement that I know that I should have said Fellowship of the Ring. I apologize. It's Fellowship of the Ring. It's not Brotherhood of the Ring. I have to admit that I've never once seen one of those movies. However, I should still know the slang because it's in the just...
Zeitgeist.
Stratosphere. Zeitgeist is the worst I was looking for. But yeah. So, just wanted to let everybody know I know that I fucked that up.
Well, I'm surprised they let me into Canada after I so horribly botched their money so badly so many years ago that everyone was able to scream it at me in my face live. And I was like, I fucked that up years ago. So we love the slip of the tongue that's recorded because you can't forget it. You know what I mean? It just gets replayed. Can't,
especially when people comment 1,000 times. Like, you know that you fucked up.
I'm like, hey, what kind of money do you have? They're like, it's not duties. I'm like, I know that now, and it should have been. I'm just saying. I'm kidding. Toronto was the best crowd. You guys were fantastic. Yeah.
Fellowship.
Fellowship Dooney. Fellowship. It's the Brotherhood of the Doonies is what it is. So go check that out on TikTok. And if you want a video shout out from us to you, go to cameo.com and search Sinisterhood, and you can have us say happy birthday, happy anniversary, congrats, back to school, surprise, whatever you want us to do. We will deliver a custom video shout out for you over on Cameo. Christy, where can the fine folks listening find you on the internet?
I am on Instagram and Threads at Christy M. Wallace and TikTok at Christy or GTFO. Heather?
I'm on the internet at Heather versus the World.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy.